And then it dawned on me that it was 2 o'clock in the afternoon and he wasn't awake yet.
Mm.
And so Jordan was on the couch, and that's when I went in his room and I found his body. And so he had taken his life with a shotgun. I had heard something in the middle of the night, but I didn't think much of it because I'd heard something the night before in the middle of the night.
Sure.
And I yelled at him. I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm doing handstands and exercising." That was part of his therapy.
Sure.
Wait, let me back up. That night before, that Thursday night, I'm sitting at dinner and he goes, "Mom, I ended up getting an appointment with the psychiatrist. They fit me in for next week." I said, "Get out." He goes, "Yeah, I go Tuesday." He goes, "And I want to go back to school." He goes, "But I'm sorry, I know I don't have my scholarship." And I said, "Yeah, you do. You do, because I put it in as mental illness."
Oh, thank
So
goodness. Yeah.
I just didn't say nothing to you because I didn't want you to worry about it. And he hugged me like he had never hugged me in his life. And like a little boy. He goes, "I love you so much. I just thank you so much for
I'm
all
so
you've
glad you
done."
have that.
And then it was that night. And so I heard something, but it was on the other side of the house. And I was like, didn't think much of it. I walked in, and I have to tell this part of it. And if you can't handle this, I'm not going to get gruesome. I'm going to tell you all that right now. I'm not going to get gruesome. But I am going to tell you that there is something to this. I screamed, obviously. I I saw what he had done. I saw the weapon on the ground. Um, Jordan was screaming with me. We called 911. She called 911 and they said, "You need to go in there and make sure he doesn't have a pulse." And so she was headed in, and I went, "Oh, no, you're not going in there. I only need me traumatized. I don't need you traumatized too."
Sure. Yeah.
And I said, "Absolutely not." And so I went in. And this is where my first miracle happens. God allowed me to stand above my son in pure white. All I saw was his beautiful face. I didn't see anything else. And I said goodbye. And I said, "I love you." And I walked out. And Jordan and I walked out to the front lawn, to the front yard. And I never walked back in that house again. It was all packed.
Diana had told me that. That you didn't want to go back.
It was already where I didn't need anything in it. I had already gotten rid of everything for the most part. But I never saw anything. And my next door neighbor had gone in after the coroner had come. And he told my husband, "There's no way she didn't see anything. There's no way. It was that bad."
Well,
But I didn't.
that's a miracle.
That's a miracle.
Yeah.
I did
Because
not. He had a white glow around him. And I will say, obviously, I had to have therapy after that. I had to have PTSD treatment. And not necessarily for that. It was the approach of going to the door, and, it was all of it.
yeah.
But I had to have the treatment, and it worked. I couldn't believe it worked. In fact, I was kind of upset that it did. I was like, maybe I should be suffering like this. Maybe I should be having this panic attack,
Or like you weren't
every
hurting enough
10
or
minutes.
something.
Yeah, like I
Yeah.
wasn't hurting enough. But you get to where you're not sleeping anymore and not having sleep, you go nuts.
Yeah.
And
You
I was
did
like, I
that.
guess I need to have some sleep.
Yeah.
So I got the therapy that I needed. Well, so I moved. We all, my husband and my daughter came down from Houston. We all got in the car and we went to my sister's house in Dripping Springs with her husband. They have a large home to camp out there. And long story short, I'm still there, and there's a lot that's happened. Like I said, that can be a whole nother Dr. Phil show. We lost his grandpa from COVID almost a year, not even a year to the date of Garrick's death. His
Wow.
grave was still fresh, and he's buried with him.
That's beautiful.
And my husband and I divorced, and that was a lot. And so my kids were going through a lot.
Yeah.
They have their own trauma for all the same reasons, but different aspects of it.
Yeah.
So I got to my sister's. My sister has always been very true to her faith and very devout. In fact, I call her Sister Carrie, like a nun. Turns out she's not.
None of us are perfect.
Now she's not even close to being a nun. I'm holier than her. Nah, but she saved me, obviously.
Yeah.
And we started taking walks, and it was just quiet. I didn't have to hear, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Yeah.
She just was there.
Yeah.
And my
sometimes that's all you need.
It was all I needed. My girls, they stayed as long as they needed to until they were prepared to go back. They both had therapies, appointments, and had to get into the middle of that. So Jordan went back to the Astros. Sam, God bless her. She had graduated with her degree in marine biology and was trying to get into veterinary medicine school during COVID. And she did. She ended up going to, and is still there at Royal Veterinary Academy in London. So never left the country, loses her brother, her parents divorce, and she leaves and goes to London.
Wow.
To go to school. So she's a good story. And you talk about tenacity and grit to overcome things. So she's my hero. They both are. They both are my heroes. And so I feel like I got the easy end of the deal because I went to my sister and just kind of stayed in my nightgown and my robe for however long I needed to.
You needed to, yeah.
Yeah. And still there.
That's how I am with my kids. I'm so proud of them, and I think that probably a big reason why they've done so well in their career is because of their brother. They wanted to make him proud, you know?
Yeah.
So when you started saying that, I was like, here comes the waterworks.
Not to mention, I think they would tell you that he had a hand in all of in everything that they've been successful with.
And you know that's all he would want is for them to be happy.
All.
And successful in whatever they need in this life.
I was so upset because he had never gotten his first communion, his sacrament of first communion. He had been baptized.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, if we're all binging on Tiger King.
Yep, we did.
Apparently, we looked back at what he was binging on, and it was Morgan Freeman's God.
Oh,
He wanted
wow.
to know if there was such a thing as a God. And I didn't do him any favors because, some friends of ours who we lost their brother at a much older age, around maybe 6 months before. I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was in January. I lost Garrick in April, and it was January that they lost their brother. These were people that we went to high school with.
Mm-hmm.
I went to that funeral, and I'm an idiot. I came home, and Garrick is like, how was it? And I said, I grew up in Catholic saying, thinking that suicide was a sin
That's
and
how
that you're going to
that's
go
what they
straight
taught
to
us.
hell.
Yeah.
And I said, this pastor, it was the most beautiful sermon.
Was it a non-denominational?
It was
Okay.
non-denominational. But at this point, I knew that it wasn't a sin. That Catholics don't think that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how, I say Catholic. That's not what the church believes anymore.
Yeah.
But his particular message was just gorgeous. And the guy that you and I knew, he was very Christian.
Yeah.
A man of God, like you cannot believe, you
Mm-hmm.
know. And they were like, listen, let's look at the picture here. You know, this man suffered, and you know,
Yeah.
Jesus suffered and all that. So I'm telling Garrick the story. I look back at it now and thinking, well, here's your permission slip. You're going to go straight to heaven. That's basically what I thought I'd done.
Yeah. I'm like,
I really had to do a lot of self-talking
Yeah.
with that, because what happened is he wanted to make sure that he was going to see
heaven.
God.
Yeah. Yeah.
That it was going to be okay to do that.
Yeah.
And I basically said, oh yeah, that's all right. Not having any idea that
Well,
that's
no.
where he was in his life. So, and I really didn't think he was to that point.
Yeah.
This wasn't, what I was seeing in him wasn't any different than I'd seen it any other time in his life that he hadn't gotten through. Not to mention, he had just told me he was going to his appointment on Tuesday to get back on meds, right? Anyway, yeah, so.
And you know, us not being in their head, we don't know what's going to trigger.
You don't know.
You don't.
You don't know if it was
And
a
it's
manic
like,
moment. And
have you ever, I mean, I'm sure you have, but like had that, I don't know if it's survivor's guilt or what could I have done? Or, you know, because I mean, I know.
The blame game?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, I had it.
Who doesn't?
I was
Who
like-
doesn't?
And I wasn't driving the car.
I do. But you know what? I also tell this to people. It's ironic that people will come to me that have children that are on the verge or themselves. And I'm like, why are you coming to me? I didn't do it right. Obviously.
Well, you didn't do it wrong.
Yeah. And I'm like,
You know?
I'll tell you what you don't do, you know. But
Yeah.
they do. And I will say, well, I did everything. I did do it. I prayed. I got the help he needed.
You did.
I was very aware of everything that was happening in this boy's life. I remember saying, if I can just get him to 18 years old, if I could just get him to 18, I probably should have said 19 or something, right?
Well, I think you think, you know, they're going to be independent.
He'll grow out of this.
He'll
see
yeah.
that life isn't about high school and friends. There's so much more to it.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
And so it kind of turned into this message for me, was that I'm the example, I think, of people that can do everything right,
Mm-hmm.
and it's still not in your power.
No. I know that for sure.
It is.
My joke is I have a PhD in grief.
Yeah.
Between, you know, my family has been through so much, and I'm no counselor, but I'm a good listener, and I definitely want those people watching or listening out there to know there are people that are going to, I want them to see what's on the other side of that, because we know how bad it is. You know, I was drowning. It was like somebody was pushing me underwater, not letting me up for air. I'm sure, you know, I don't know what you're.
So I was, again, I think, talk about miracles. My sister goes to a Catholic church that's in Dripping. They just built a center called the St. Dymphna Center, which, if you know your saints, she's the saint for anxiety and depression, mental illness. So I go to her church, and like I said, I hadn't been real connected, but I just read the book, and I was like, I'm very unstable. I could have gone this way, and I could have gone this way. My girls were angry. they were pissed. Like,
Yeah.
God, not okay. Not okay for you to do this. I never felt that. And I think that in itself was a blessing, that I never felt that. I don't know why I never did. I know my sister immediately said, he was never yours to begin with. Just remember.
Let me ask you this. Had you ever experienced a grief like Garrick before that?
Not to that degree. I've had loss.
Yeah.
But not to that degree. And I
Yeah.
think most people tell you that the loss of a child is
Oh,
so much different.
so
you know?
much different. Yeah.
Um,
It's a part of us. We
yeah,
gave birth to them.
Yeah, yeah. And so, no, I had never had that. But then I also had never in my life felt that close to God. So that was like, what? Whoa. Like,
I did a lot of chit-chatting with him, for sure.
whoa, what's going on here, you know?
Yeah.
And I go to this church, and there's a group of women. Turns out Dripping had some of the highest suicide rates in their high school and college than anyone. And all of a sudden, all these families come up to me, all these mamas who had just been through the exact same thing, that just put their arms around me.
That's
and
amazing.
I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know, I just walked into all this. They were bringing us food. They were like, I didn't even know these people. Now I am so close to them, you know. You're in that club.
The club that sucks.
Club that sucks.
That's what these podcasts are called. This club sucks.
It's such a sucky club, Tracy.
Hate it.
Such a sucky club. But yeah, and so I just kind of like happened into this type of life, you know, and these people that were like, you can't do this alone. You can't do this without God.
No.
And
there's no way.
I'm like, okay, well, you tell me how. And I didn't have to work at it. All I did was sit back and we do this Divine Mercy. If you know anything about Catholicism, it's Jesus, I trust in you. And I'd never said it before in my life. And my sister taught it to me while we were walking one day. And she goes, it's a little easier than the rosary. The rosary's a lot to do right now. And she goes, but I'll teach it to you. And I'm like, okay. The only words I could get out were, Jesus, I trust in you. And then someone from the church gave me the Divine Mercy blanket that had been blessed that says, Jesus, I trust in you. I will tell you, is like my wubby. Like I didn't travel without it. I didn't go anywhere without it. I was like, when I said those words with my mind going back, what did I do? What could I have done different? What should I be doing now? I'd say, Jesus, I trust in you. And my mind would stop.
That's my prayer every day. Or if I'm starting to feel anxiety or I'm worried about something, I'm like, okay, God, I'm giving it all to you right now because I need to get it off my heart. And it works.
It works.
It works.
You can, and I promise.
I feel sorry for people that don't believe because
I tell people, I'm like, okay, you can test it. I've tested it.
Yeah.
I've tested it in the worst situations. Like, let's see if you can get me past this one.
Yeah.
Because the devil's all up in there.
Oh, yeah.
And it works. And people will tell you that it works. And that was the other thing. You start reading all those books. Help this, grief that, blah, blah, blah. I even went to a grief support. I did go to a grief support online group.
Mm-hmm.
And they're very good. Don't get me wrong. What I realized was that it wasn't faith-based.
Mm-hmm.
And there were people that had been there and gone to that same meeting every week for 15 years that hadn't, in my mind, hadn't moved on.
My brother warned me about that when I started going to counseling or group. Yeah. I did a group thing and he goes, okay, let me just tell you. If you got somebody in there that's like 10, 15, 20 years, he goes, they don't want to get better and start healing their heart. They want to stay in that moment. I was like, oh, I can't do that. I'm miserable. I was so.
There was no way.
I was like, I've got to heal I've got 2 kids that are depending on me and my husband. And I'm like, I have to find a way to help myself, you know? And he goes, okay, well, I'm not trying to tell you what to do. I go, no, I get it. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's tough.
It's tough. And you can't have that
And you
same
can't really say
conversation.
something to somebody like, it's been 15 years. Get over it. That's not something you say
No,
to a
but I
grieving
didn't have a
mother.
very good poker face either, because we're all on Zoom and I'm going,
Well,
you,
see, and I think
you
that
need to go to,
that some talking with somebody like that is
yeah.
going through that experience, it's hard to find hope.
It is. And I had, there was even a
Or
girl.
for me, it would be.
I mean, I had met a girl.
Like,
at
okay, I'm going to be like that in 15 years.
Church who had lost her son 3 years before I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so she wanted to commiserate. And I'm like, that's fine. And then she flat out turned to me. She goes, you're further along than me. I can't talk to you. And I'm like, how? What? She goes, you're further along. You know where he is. I said, I don't know where he is.
Well, we know he's in heaven, but.
Well, here's the thing. I love, this is a beautiful thing. Because that's all I kept saying. God, can you just tell me? Can you just show me? I won't go get him. I won't bring him home. But just let me know. I need a sign, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I went to the priest. And he's this cute little Vietnamese priest. And I say he's Vietnamese because I couldn't understand half the stuff that was coming out of his accent. I love.
We used to have a Vietnamese priest, but he was so adorable but he had a thick accent.
Yeah, and
we loved him.
I'm like, I need closed captioning with you. But I met with him. Well, I'll be honest. I went to confession. Had not been in so long. I go to confession. And he basically tells me, honey, you need to make an appointment. Does that tell you, like, there's
with
nothing,
a therapist?
No, with him for confession, for a bigger confession. I was like,
uh-oh. That's like going to the principal's office.
Oh, it was. I was like, oh, I'll get back with you on that one. I'm like, yeah, this is a big one. Yeah, it'd been years. I was like,
yeah,
I haven't done this. I was so scared. Beautiful thing. I go and I meet with him, and I tell him this, and I said, I won't get him. I just want God to tell me. And he said, well, let me ask you something. If he told you, would you still go to him? I said, to who? He goes, to God. He goes, that's where the trick is. That's where the mystery is. He goes, because what if he tells you and then you don't go to him anymore? You're just satisfied with that. He needs you. He needs you to keep going to him.
I need him.
But you don't, and you never think of it as he's your father. He needs you.
Yeah.
He's not going to tell you because he needs you. He wants you to keep going to him. Look at your own fathers. Well, mine was not a good example. But, I came from a broken home, and I'm like, most fathers, they want you to need them. I feel it as a mom now. I know you do. I'm like, I'm not needed. My kids are grown and they don't need me anymore, and it kills me. Well, God doesn't feel that. And he goes, so it's possible you're not going to know because of that. Now, my belief and my reasoning is, I do believe he is, because again, when I tell you this is faith-based to me, the prayers that this is where I get emotional. I have done more good for my son now that he has died than I ever did when he was alive, because my prayers are efficacious. And every prayer and everything that I do, that I suffer, that I offer up to God, allows Garrick to be in heaven. Because the souls in purgatory need us to pray for them. And if we don't pray for them, they're not getting out of purgatory. Every Hail Mary that I say, every Divine Mercy, every Mass I go to, every time I receive that sacrament, and every time I suffer from even a hangnail, I am doing more good for my son so that he has the glory of God. And if he gets there, he can pray for me.
And you will be with him again.
So my job as a mom just got much harder.
Yeah.
And you think you're never going to have to worry again. And my worry is very different now. It's hard for me to say that there's a relief that I don't have to worry like I used to
Mm-hmm.
for him, because you realize that you were so consumed with it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
If you have any children with mental illness, you're consumed with it. You just never, ever stop. And you're just waiting for that other shoe to drop. And knowing that you have no control over that situation.
No.
And I've talked to so many people that are in that situation. And unfortunately, there's usually drugs involved. And that's even worse because
Yeah.
you have to cut ties and just,
Yeah.
there's so many variables to it. And I would never wish him to be gone. Ever. Like, I'd give anything for him.
Oh,
to
I'd
be
do it all
right
over
here.
again.
I would do it
All over
all
again.
over again.
Yeah.
You know, I would. If
I
and,
would
and
too.
think about that with the Blessed Mother. If someone said, which they did, here's the deal. You're going to give birth to the Savior.